Welcome to the news on NTAi International. This news can be viewed on our various social media platforms displayed on the screen. And my name is Nolin Ebel Ame, and my sign language interpreter is Ogeria He Courage. Now, the headlines. Nigeria and Germany strengthen partnership to tackle irregular migration with inauguration of Migrant Resource Center. European Union's €5 million investment for two of Nigeria's major parks to strengthen security and conserve biodiversity. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu canvasses against female genital mutilation practices. And now to the news. European Union Ambassador to Nigeria and the ECOWAS, Emanuela Isopi, has announced a €5 million investment for two of Nigeria's major parks to strengthen security and conserve biodiversity. The EU ambassador met the promise while interfacing with the Minister of Environment and agencies under the ministry on developing and implementing a roadmap for Nigeria's circular economy. Charles Alpha reports.
The ambassador and some of the EU member states before COP28 made commitments to take the leading role in mobilizing action for the implementation of outcomes of the global events for Nigeria. They are here now in fulfillment of their promises. Nigeria has already pledged commitment to the European Commission and Emirates on tripling renewable capacities and doubling energy efficiency. It is at the forefront of developing its carbon pricing system and green bond development. It is these steps that Nigeria has taken to mitigate impacts of climate change that the EU ambassador and its member states are impressed with and have decided to further invest more to boost its forest security and biodiversity conservation challenges.
To continue our support to the Gashaka National Park in Taraba. So it's €3.5 million for your information that we will fund for Cross River National Park and €1.5 million for Gashaka Gumti National Park.
The EU, aside these pledges to Nigeria, has also developed a circular economic roadmap to be launched at the International Day of Zero Waste celebration in March this year.
As discussed before the COP28, we stand ready to support you and to work with you on the follow-ups.
While the Minister of Environment, Balarabe Abbas, and the agencies under the ministry discussed ongoing efforts and areas of needs, a roadmap that would suit the Nigerian system was advised.
Nigeria has three problems in the forest. Number one, you have the poachers. Number two, you have the loggers. And number three, you have the bandits. They are all in the forest. So that's why we need support. If the German support can be extended to look at what beyond the poachers, look at the loggers, go to cutting down the trees, and those who have turned the forest into their happy nation, the insurgents.
The circular economy implementation is that these things must be contextualized. The context of Nigeria. We should not just bring Europe best practices, American best practices, and think that we can just put it on Nigeria into work, because there are some of these things that are cultural in nature.
The European Union have also promised to sustain areas of intervention that would help Nigeria meet up its obligation to the United Nations framework on climate change. Charles Alpha, NTAi News.
In another development, following a 2021 report of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, which found that children made up 75% of trafficking victims detected in West Africa, Nigeria has launched the School Anti-Trafficking Education and Advocacy Project, championed by the International Center for Migration Policy Development, ICMPD. Kelvin Ohunaye reports that the project is being funded by the government of the Kingdom of Netherlands.
The STIP project is an initiative of the International Center for Migration Policy Development, ICMPD, As the implementation organization, the ICMPD is collaborating with NAPTIP, which is Nigeria's anti-human trafficking body. The MOU signed at the Government Secondary School Gwarimpa Life Camp is to lay out strategies for the smooth advocacy in over 200 schools in 5 benefiting states.
A lot of training is going to happen. Many of the children and their families, their parents, their communities are going to be involved. So this is a all-of-community approach. We know that when human traffickers prowl, they target young people. Young people are most at risk. And we know that prevention leads to early intervention. We know that prevention also reduces vulnerability.
The government of the Kingdom of Netherlands says the project is a demonstration of its commitment to help Nigeria overcome the challenge of illegal migration.
Algeria, Libya to Italy and then the rest of Europe is very difficult but also very dangerous. So therefore we try to tell to the people, the youngsters over there, that their future is in Nigeria, and therefore we work together with ICMPD and with your country to arrange a situation in which we can tell the people your future is here.
Commissioners of Education in Edo, Ogun, Enugu, Delta and Benue states are to act as focal persons in their respective states to ensure its success. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewenwaye, NTAi News.
Similarly, the Ministry of Labour and Employment, in partnership with the German government, has inaugurated a migrant resource centre in Ado, Nasarawa State, to tackle the challenge of irregular migration. Minister of State Labour and Employment says the centre will provide guide for prospecting migrants. Ekenendulue reports.
Nigeria, like many other countries, has significant number of its citizens migrating to different parts of the world in search of better opportunities. Many of the migrants, however, face harrowing experiences, especially those who travel through irregular channels. This center is designed to provide Nigerians with options for legal migration to Germany, provide them with trainings, and also support those returning from Europe.
It's an opportunity for them to know that you don't need to pass through the desert, you don't need to pass through third party or through scammers that will just go waste your life and waste your time. So this is a gateway to success for Nigerians and for the citizens of Nigeria.
Here they're going to be trained in many skills and in all spheres of human endeavors, and we think that our youth will take advantage of this.
The German Federal Minister of Economic Cooperation and Development says the partnership is a win for both countries.
We also want to benefit because we need young, well-educated people in Germany to migrate to us, to help us with all the work we have to do. So it is a triple win that we organize here in our long-standing partnership, and that is what partnership is about.
The partners are urging young Nigerians to take advantage of this window to avoid negative consequences of irregular migration. From Ado in Nasarawa State, Ekene Ndulue, NTAi News.
And elsewhere in Egypt, United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken is meeting with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in Cairo. Comfort Fashion reports that the visit is part of his latest tour of the Middle East, where he is seeking a new ceasefire and enduring end to the Israel-Hamas war.
Blinken's 5th trip to the region since October, hoping to shore up support for a truce that was hatched out in Paris in January but has not yet been signed off on by either Hamas or Israel. The truce Blinken is anticipating to seal proposes a 6-week pause to fighting as Hamas frees hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel, and more aid enters Gaza. The United States has strongly backed its top regional ally, Israel, with munitions and diplomatic support, but also urged steps to reduce civilian casualties and eventually move towards a two-state solution with the Palestinians. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, in a phone call, also told Netanyahu on Monday that only a negotiated two-state solution will open up the prospect of a sustainable solution to the Middle East conflict. And French Foreign Minister Stéphane Séjourné, on his first visit to the region since taking over office, advised that Israeli-Palestinian peace talks be resumed without delay. The top U.S. diplomat departed Riyadh shortly after sunrise for what is said to be a marathon day visiting Egypt and Qatar before flying to Israel to discuss hostage negotiations. Comfort Fashion, NTAi News.
Comfort Fashion still reports that Senegal's parliament has voted in support of the postponement of the presidential election as requested by President Macky Sall. The development led to protests by opposition parties.
This was the situation at the floor of Parliament in Dakar, Senegal. Parliamentarians, especially those from the opposition parties, trying to stop further debate on the bill requesting for the postponement of the presidential election with the intervention of the security, were forced out of the chamber, and that paved way for the passage of the bill. The bill was passed near unanimously with 105 votes in favor and 1 against. It paved the way for President Macky Sall to remain in office until his successor is installed. However, the parliament passed that the presidential election will hold on December 25th, 2024. Outside the parliament's building, security forces dispersed protesters with the use of tear gas. A Senegalese expert on constitutional law, Babacar Gueye, criticized the move made to extend the tenure of President Macky Sall.
The president can get up and say that on 15 December or on the eve of the election, he can do the same thing again, create a scenario and say that there is a risk of unrest after the elections.
The atmosphere in Senegal has been tensed since Saturday when Sall announced a delay to February 25th vote just hours before campaigning was officially set to begin. Comforts, Fashion, NTAi News.
Still staying with Senegal, the Economic Community of African States, ECOWAS, says the Commission is following the development of the situation in Senegal with concern. The Commission, in a statement, advises against any action or statement that could go against the provisions of the country's constitution and reminds the population and the political class of their responsibility in maintaining peace and stability in the country. The ECOWAS Commission encourages the political class to take urgent action and necessary measures to restore the electoral calendar in accordance with the provisions of the country's constitution. In these difficult times for the country and the region, the Commission is launching a calling on all stakeholders to renounce violence and any action likely to further disturb peace and stability of the country. Nigeria's Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, has been elected Pioneer Chairman, Africa Mineral Strategy Group. The event, which was held on the sidelines of the 30th edition of Investing in Africa in Durban, Cape Town, South Africa, was attended by Ministers of Mineral Development. Speaking at the signing of the resolutions, Alake enjoined African leaders to forge a common front to get maximum benefits from the mineral resources on the continent. Alake further stressed that the era of cutting away solid minerals is over, charging countries on the continent to speak with one voice on value addition as a prerequisite for investment in the mining sector. If you just joined us, this is the news on NTAi International. Let's pause here for a break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on the news on NTAi International. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has called on parents, particularly mothers, traditional leaders and community leaders, where female genital mutilation still persists, to consider the damage and irreversible health implications inflicted on the girl child. She made the call in a statement to commemorate this year's International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation, FGM, under the theme, Her Voice, Her Future, investing in survivors-led movement to end female genital mutilation. She says the day once again reminds us of the responsibility we bear to protect the rights, vulnerability, and well-being of the girl child. While acknowledging the progress made in the fight against female genital mutilation in Nigeria, the First Lady says we must confront the practices that still persist, causing irreparable harm to our girls. She commended First Ladies of states, non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, and healthcare professionals for lending their voices to the fight against female genital mutilation across the entire nation, adding that all hands must be on deck as we collectively strive for the full eradication of female genital mutilation in Nigeria by 2030. Similarly, female genital... All right, let's take another story. Putting in place a strategy that will guide collective efforts to prevent, detect, and respond to substandard and falsified medicinal products is key in ensuring that medical products in circulation are of the quality standard required and safe for public use. Director General, National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, Professor Mojishola Christiana Adeye, said this during the stakeholders' engagement with stakeholders on the National Strategic Document on Substandard Falsified Products in Abuja. Hamman Jabani reports.
National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has the mandate to regulate and control the manufacture, importation, exportation, distribution, advertisement, sale, and use of drugs, cosmetics, chemicals, detergents, medical devices, and packaged water, generally referred to as regulated products. This mandate puts the responsibility on the agency to lead the fight against substandard and falsified medical products in Nigeria and support efforts that will see a reduction in the prevalence of both locally manufactured and imported. The menace of substandard and falsified medical products threaten access to safe, efficacious, and affordable medicines, undermining health system and the achievement of universal health coverage globally, and NAFDAC is standing head-on to address this situation.
NAFDAC currently is doing its best to fight the issue of substandard falsified medicines. The fight is based on three broad thematic areas: prevent, detect, and respond. Regulators and law enforcement agencies like yours play a vital role in ensuring safe, quality, and efficacious medicines reach the end users.
Director, Post-Marketing Surveillance of the agency, Bitrus Fardin, speaks on the strategic engagement.
The realities of the current time, would be added into that document so that the document would be much more robust, as per to cover every area that probably, seeing the gaps that has happened within the years, we'll be able to close those gaps.
NAFDAC calls for the need to foster complementary partnership that will seek to identify lapses in the supply chain to curb the distribution of substandard and falsified medical products in Nigeria. Hamman Jabani, NTAi News.
In other news, the largest television network in Africa, the NTAi, is taking center stage in upholding core national values and deepening the sense of security and consciousness of Nigerians. This is coming as the Director General NTAi, Salihu Abdulhamid Dembos, reels out the collaborative mandate of media and security at the National Defense College Lecture Series. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, the largest TV network in Africa, was established in 1977 to provide an independent and impartial television service for reception within Nigeria and beyond. With educative and entertaining programs, 127 stations spread in different senatorial districts. Blessed with seasoned broadcasters, the Pioneer TV station has for the past 47 years been the pride of many due to its wide-reaching network, diverse content and adaptability to changing and challenging times. This value attracted the National Defense College, Nigeria's apex military training institution, to invite NTA's Director General to deliver a lecture on information dissemination and national unity, with emphasis on NTA's perspective.
What we do mostly in NTA is to manage information. We have it. We are privy to information. But do you want to give out all the information you have without thinking about the unity of the country, without thinking of the precaution, without thinking of whether this will trigger reactions in other parts of the country?
Issues raised include citizen journalism, patronage of private TV stations, national unity in broadcasting, objectivity, and the new media.
Today it is about development journalism that will play, not yellow journalism, not guerrilla journalism. We put things in perspective, weigh issues, and that is the thing globally.
Among the salient issues raised during the lecture is NTA's respect for responsible broadcast and national security, a core value also shared by members of COS 32. From the National Defense College in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Thank you, Ismail. Director General National Emergency Management Agency NEMA, Mustafa Habib Ahmed, has joined other sympathizers to condole with the family of Vice President Kashim Shettima over the demise of his stepmother in Maiduguri. The DG NEMA, who was accompanied by some management staff of the agency, prayed Allah to grant the soul of Mama Hajia Hawa eternal rest. Ilyasu Yakubu reports.
The NEMA's boss and his team were received at the family home of the Vice President by his elder brother Shettima Muhammad Shettima in Maiduguri, Borno State. He enjoined the family to take solace in the will of Allah for the death of Mama and prayed for the repose of her soul. He said death is a necessary end for every mortal, and prayer, he said, serve as the most appropriate to every dead persons.
We have lost our mother, the mother of the Vice President, so that is why we all came down here to condole with the family over the sad loss. It's a great loss to the Vice President, to the agency, and to the country.
Responding on behalf of the family of Vice President, his elder brother Shettima Muhammad Shettima thanked the DG NEMA and his team for the visit. He said Mama Hajia Hawa lived a life worthy of emulation. Special prayers were offered for both Mama and the family of the Vice President Kashim Shettima. From Maiduguri, Borno State, Ilyasu Yakubu, NTA News.
Next is Sports Update.
Nigeria's women's basketball team, the NTAi, are now in Antwerp, Belgium for the FIBA Women's Olympic Qualifying Tournament, holding from the 8th to the 11th of February 2024. The team, coached by Reina Wakama, have already started putting finishing touches to their preparations ahead of the first game against Senegal on Thursday. 16 teams will compete for 12 slots for the basketball event of Paris Olympics in France later in the year. To swimming, the Nigerian Aquatics Federation says swimmers selected from the just concluded 12th National CNS Swimming Championship, which ended in Port Harcourt, have all it takes to make the nation proud at the forthcoming Africa Games in Ghana. At the end of the 3-day competition, Team Delta emerged champions with 12 gold, 8 silver, and 8 bronze medals. The Nigerian Police Force settled for second place with 3 gold, 1 silver, and 3 bronze medals, while third place went to the Nigerian Army, who finished with 5 gold, 5 silver, and 10 bronze medals.
We are going straight into camp. We have our other swimmers outside Nigeria. They are going to join us, and we are going to train and come up with people that will represent Nigeria in all Africa Games.
Still on the Africa Games and Olympic qualifiers, Blessing Oboro-Dudu, Esther Kolawale, and Mercy Genesis are amongst national wrestlers who have booked a ticket to represent the country at the forthcoming Africa Games in Ghana and Olympic qualifiers in Egypt at the National Wrestling Championship, which ended in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State.
There must be a minimum of 1 month camp for these athletes before the Africa Games.
In para-volleyball, the Para-Volleyball Africa has commended Nigeria for successfully hosting the 2024 Africa Sitting Volleyball Championship, which afforded the winners ticket to the 2024 Paralympic Games in France later in the year. The 5-day competition, which was rated as world-class, saw the defending champions Egypt retaining the title in the men's event with a 3-0 victory over Morocco in the finals, while Rwanda was crowned champions in the women's event after beating Kenya by 3-0 at the Teslim Balogun Stadium, Lagos.
It's a very great credit that Nigeria hosted the Paralympic game, especially the sitting volleyball. It's a great plus for us.
With sports updates, Gift George, NTA News.
Next is a check on Wednesday's weather prospect for Nigeria and some cities of the world. And that concludes the news on NTAi International. Thank you for watching. I am Nolin Ebel Ame, and my sign language interpreter has been Ogirahe Courage. Do have a lovely night rest.